Wow. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I am overawed. I thought maybe 10 or 20 people would be here for this. We've got 75 people on so far, more joining as we speak. 203 people registered for this. This is almost enough to make me slightly nervous, but I'll get through it. So first of all, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I see so many names in the chat of people that I know and love. Some people I've seen only yesterday, some people I haven't seen for months. I'm probably am going to name people, but then I always get told don't name people because then you might upset other people. But so many people have supported me in my journey. And if this is a give back, this is fantastic. Right? I am going to announce the community at the end of this, but I'm also going to pour as much in for free as I can. And I'm going to keep doing it because of a couple of reasons I'm going to come to in a bit as to why this is so important. Before I do that, a couple of things. One, standard for all of you Tony people in the room, hydrate. You know the rules, you know the deal, number one. Number two, make notes. Please make notes. ChatGPT can probably give you the regurgitated version later, but at least make some notes now whilst you do it. Number two. Number three, quick disclaimer that this is not an A3 finance event, of which some of you know I'm the CEO and partnered with Roberto and Katie, my partners. This is just purely me, so these are my opinions. And if I accidentally give you any investment advice, I didn't mean to. Disclaimer, it was only education, entertainment, and informative purposes. Only insert blank here for the disclaimer. However, I'm not going to try and give you any investment advice today, except where to invest your time and your money. Last thank you. So thank you for all of you for being here. Last thank you. Thank you to Tony Robbins. And thank you for everything you've done for me. I joined the Tony World 2019. For those that don't know, I threw a tantrum right on the very first event because I couldn't find a chair. And a gentleman called Mike Tantilla, one of the trainers, stepped in and asked me if I wanted to leave and started walking me out. And as I was walked out, he asked me what my tattoo meant, for anyone that hasn't seen that before. And it means I'll find a way or make a way. And Mike asked me, informed me that it was a shame for a guy that obviously can find a way or make a way that I couldn't find a chair. And I was hooked. I became a plat. I was plat up until halfway through last year. And some of my biggest breakthroughs and biggest moments, and certainly some of my best friendships, have come from that space. So thank you, Tony, for everything you do for me, for most of the people here, and for the world as a whole. So with that done, most of you know me, I think, but for those that don't know me, my name's Peter Swain. I started out coding when I was 6. I sold my first application when I was 12. And then I built Yell, which was the UK version of Yelp, which got sold to the US in the early 90s. And the reason I built Yelp was because I downloaded Sun Tzu's The Art of War on a 4K modem. So I literally downloaded this book. It took a week on a 4K modem. The line kept dropping and I kept persevering. And I finally downloaded Sun Tzu's The Art of War. And I walked into my job at the time and said to my boss, the internet is it. This is everything. And he said, no, it's a dead duck. Right. My boss, Chris Broderick, the managing director of Matlay Sound Vision, hi, if you ever see this, by the way, said that no, the internet was a dead duck. Now, he was in good company because Bill Gates said the same thing at the time because he just bought CompuServe. But he was wrong. So I went to the Internet World Show and asked everyone to give me a job. Everybody said no, apart from the last company, because I went up to them, a guy called Tom Bell from Inform, and told him he had to give me a job. And I offered to work for free for 2 weeks because I was absolutely convinced that the internet was the next thing. Right? I was 17 at the time, and I was 100% convinced because to me, it was just an inflection moment for society where I could now, my footprint, instead of it being a few square miles around me or 100 square miles if I had a car, my footprint became the entire world. And it allowed everybody in the world to communicate with everybody at once. So I stayed on the internet up until mid-2000. I went to India to create an offshore dev company. That was an utter failure. I'll tell you about that later on, or maybe not. But what it did mean is I bought an iPhone in duty free, the iPhone 3GS, the first one with an app store. I walked back into my web company and said, you've all got 3 months to retrain because this is it. And my words were a bit weird, but my words were, it smells the same as the web. And people are like, no, it's just a small web screen. That's most of the people I heard when I told them about the iPhone, is it's just a small web screen. I was like, no, this is a decouple. That I would mean, like, this is an inflection moment, right? We're all completely used to the web now. And now this technology now allows us to be decoupled from our desks. And on top of that, the iPhone had multiple sensors. So a PC has a keyboard, a mouse, a monitor, speaker, and back then, maybe a microphone. Definitely not a video camera, just coming in. Whereas an iPhone had a video camera, a screen, speakers, microphone, cloud services, huge differentiation at the time, a gyroscope, an accelerometer, some had LiDAR, being able to sense like the beginning of augmented reality. And each sense that you add on to a piece of technology increases its usefulness. Now, the iPhone was not the first, right? And my web connection was not the first. This is really an important thing that we need to pay attention to now. So before the iPhone, I had a Palm Pilot. Anyone had a Palm Pilot? I want a 1 in the chat if you had a Palm Pilot. You're showing your age if you put a 1. Yeah, you are. See, yeah, look, you're showing your age. You should have all put, no, I'm not going to say it. And now I want a 2 if you had a Nokia 9110 communicator. And you know what I'm referring to there. Yeah, so look at that. Look. Right? All those were essentially like an iPhone, right? They were a smart view of the web. And the Nokia 9110 communicator, by the way, had the best speakerphone ever. Anyway, the web, before I downloaded that 4K Sun Tzu Art of War, which was from a university in, I think it was Phoenix, but certainly in the States. Before that, I had a CompuServe account. And that PS, that's why Bill Gates wanted to beg against the internet. My CompuServe address was 1.545.1440. Right, so the web wasn't the first distributed telecommunication network. The iPhone wasn't the first smartphone. But what they were the humanized points. Right, they were the moment that a technology became humanized. Throughout all my time in mobile, I used to give the same speech on almost every stage. I've spoken 1,000-person events. I spoke at a 6,000-person event. I spoke at Mobile World Congress, which is the largest kind of mobile gathering. And in every one of them, I showed them a picture of a clock. And it was a picture of a clock in Bristol. I haven't actually brought it here for this call today. But the reason I used to show this clock is because this clock had 3 hands. And I used to ask the people on the stage, what can you tell that's different about this clock? And nobody ever saw the fact that it had 3 hands. You had to zoom right in and give it on about 3 minutes. And the reason it had 3 hands is because it was when Brunel invented the passenger train. And up until Brunel's passenger train, everybody worked on when the sun rose, that's when they set their time. But for the first time ever, you now had a train and a timetable that said the train runs at 10:04. And everyone was asking, well, which 10:04? Is it London 10:04 or Bristol 10:04? So standardized time zones, GMT, EST, PST, CST, all trace back to the invention of a train. And this is my question to everybody, and this is where we now start talking about AI, is if the invention of a train can change the way the world perceives time, what is this going to do to you and your business? Technology changes the way humans perceive things. Now, to me, time is a pretty constant thing. Seconds, minutes, hours, days, etc. You know, this webinar is going to run for X amount of time. My timekeeping isn't good at the end. It's always good at the beginning. I always start on time. Pretty bad at ending on time. But the train changed the way that time was perceived. So, what is AI going to change? That's the really important fundamental question. I'm interested in some answers. I've been thinking about this for a week. If anyone has some ideas as to where they think it's going to kick off, then please put it in. But I'll tell you my answer whilst we wait for anyone else to put answers in the chat. My answer is that up until today, scarcity and value were connected. Scarcity and value are connected. The more abundant something becomes, the less valuable it is perceived to be. Okay, so the less scarce, the more abundant something becomes, the less value. So value and scarcity are in constant movement with each other. My perception is that's existed for around 9,000 years. I think they found the first tablet that demonstrated banking around 9,000 years ago. So some form of currency, some form of value exchange has existed for thousands and thousands of years, all based on this premise that value and scarcity are interconnected. So what do we do when we then have AI? Right? And I don't have an answer to that question, by the way. If I do, I'd probably be like the Omaha of something, the Oracle of something, I don't know. But value and scarcity is about to change, which is a fundamental shift in your business. It is an absolute fundamental shift in your business. So this isn't something where we go, oh, maybe I'm going to invest in this. Maybe I'm going to pay attention to this. Maybe I'm not going to pay attention to this. I guess you can actually. I'll actually rephrase that. You can choose to not pay attention to this, but it ain't going to change what it's going to do. We are about to enter a 5-year period where we reevaluate the link between scarcity and value. Now, some things are still scarce, for sure. 3D printed buildings. We can do that, can't we? Sorry. Self-driving cars on the roads. We did that. That was 2 weeks ago. They took to California streets. They're now fully legal there as well. So what is scarce then right now? I start to get slightly concerned when I think that through, because I truly think the answer is that very little is going to have true scarcity left. So the value equation changes almost overnight. Let's talk then about some tangible use cases. So I went deep into this on my mastermind last night with people, and we have multiple different things happening. The one that you've all heard about, the reason you're all here, probably, I'm assuming, is ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT is a incredible technology, and it's an incredible humanization. The real worrying thing or scary thing for us all is it's V1. So if you haven't used it, ChatGPT, I don't know, why am I even bothering with it? If you haven't used it, you've used it. But if you haven't used it, ChatGPT is what's called a massive language model. So it's basically taken the entire contents of human history and codified it in a way that it can then make sense. So you can ask it questions, you can ask it to do things, and it will return answers to you. I'm going to give everyone one little tip. Actually, I'm going to give you 3 or 4, but I'm going to give you one highlight reel for ChatGPT before we start, which is ChatGPT. I just told you it's trained on the entire corpus of human knowledge, right? That includes some real dumbasses. It's not just trained on the smart people or the educated people or the people that are enlightened or the people that have a valid viewpoint. It's trained on everything. Okay. So I often hear people say, oh, I asked it to write me a video sales script. And when I say often, Jesus, it's only been around since mid-January. And I'm already using words like often, but it's happened about 10 times in the last day. So I keep hearing, that's better. I keep hearing people say, oh, I asked it to do this and it didn't really do it very well. So I wanted to prepare some examples for you just to show you what I mean by this. But before I do, I'm going to explain what I'm going to ask you to do whenever you use ChatGPT. And what I want you to do, this is going to like double your output, triple your output straight away. It's called, I call it topping and tailing, top and tail, right? So if you're going to say, please tell me to do X, Y, Z, you're going to get the average answer from that whole corpus, including everybody from, a 7-year-old boy up to Hitler's Mein Kampf, right? You're literally going to get the entire body of knowledge in return. Instead of asking a generic question, give it a top. So tell ChatGPT what you want it to be. Okay, so you tell it to adopt a persona. Then in addition to asking it, that's your top, then your tail is telling it who it's aiming it at. I will quickly show you what I mean. Now, unfortunately, the piece of software I want to share, I can't actually share the actual window, so I have to share the whole window. So I hope it's not too small for you. Let me see if I can make it a bit bigger. So this is an example I did yesterday. So please give me 3 tips to lose weight. Sure, here are 3 tips to help you lose weight. Create a calorie deficit. It's not inaccurate. Eat a healthy and balanced diet. Not inaccurate. Stay active. Not inaccurate. So good. Now let's go here. I've now said you're a personal trainer with 20 years experience helping 40-year-old men lose weight. Please provide 3 tips for weight loss. Okay. So now we're telling it's a personal trainer, and you'll notice that its response has massively changed. So here we have calorie deficit, healthy balanced diet, stay active. Now we have increase your daily physical activity. So we have responses that are more leaning in to the personal trainer. Make healthier food choices. Find a support system, right? And I carried on asking these questions. I'm now said, here, look at this. You are multiple people. And I'm now asking ChatGPT to take on multiple centers. You're a personal trainer with 20 years experience working with Olympians. You are also a dietitian with 20 years experience working with men who predominantly work in an office environment. Do you understand? I said, yes. So I said, great. I will now refer to you as Zappo. So this multiple split personality has now got a name, Zappo. Do you understand? Yes. Hey, Zappo, I want a meal plan based on 800 calories and a strength training program for a 3-workout week. Now it's warned me, hey, I'm not a real person. Hey, I'm not a real person. But then it said, for an 1800 calorie, I'd suggest this. Here's an example of what you could do. For your strength program, I'd suggest this. Here's a 3-day program. So the more specific you ask these questions, the more specific the response will come back to you. Okay. So topping and tailing. It's a crucial way to get true value out of ChatGPT. Right? So when you're asking it to write you a video sales script, for example, write me a video sales script. Most of you have seen some of the videos that I've been produced, and thank you for bearing with me. The scripts there were written by ChatGPT. But the first version was terrible. But then I said, please write me a video sales script. And then I said, thanks. Now I want you to write it to an audience that predominantly know me. Okay, changed it. Now I want you to add an emotive close to it. Now I want you to. So I was teaching it how I wanted it to act. And once I taught it that first time, I said, thank you. I'm now going to refer to you as Matt. Do you understand? He went, yes, you're going to refer to me as Matt. Now, from that point on, I then didn't need to retrain it in the same way I'd done the first time round. I could just say, hey, Matt. Matt, by the way, is the best looking bandana wearer in the world. Just want to say that. I just want to say, hey, Matt, and then it will then use all of its finesse that I've taught it in the past in order to come up with next. Okay. So you can essentially create a board of advisors. Think of it that way. And hi, Jason. Hi, Michael, by the way. You can create a board of advisors and you can tailor that board on each occasion. So you can have Alison Armstrong in your corner as a relationship advisor. You can have Gaia and Alison Armstrong in your corner. And you can give that a name. You could have those people have a name. Then on the other side, you could have Warren Buffett and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates as your business partners. And you could give that a name. You can even ask them to debate with each other, which gets really crazy because then you start getting other answers. But to give you some more lighthearted views of how I've used this, I have used this to, I have ChatGPT now telling me a dad joke, right? And I get it to give me 2 a day, one for my 8-year-old and one for my 5-year-old. And I actually have that automated so they get sent to me every morning. So I'm even managing to make my kids groan and laugh at me by getting jokes specifically written for their age groups. Right? I'm just putting that into your head for the variety that you can bring to this. It really can do anything. Beck, A, you're amazing. Siri, if you're there listening as well, you're amazing. A, B, C, congratulations on winning that the case. I'm so stoked for you when you did that. And D, the answer to your question is I use a program on my Mac called Mac GPT, which will allow me to remember the chats. I know there are PC equivalents as well. So yes, exactly that, BD. So let me just bring you back here. And I'm going to try and get to questions at the end, but when I see them, I get distracted, as anyone that's been on webinars with me. So you'll see here, this one here, for example. This I've trained here for quite a bit. My customer is a 35-year-old tech user who works in IT. They like barbecue and NFL. They're male, most likely married with 2 children. And they said, based on your information, I said, tell me more about Matt. Based on your information, you're like this. And I said, what else do you think could be true of Matt? So I'm giving it more scope because it could be true. It's then come in this. I've then said, is Matt likely to be happy with his marriage? It said, it's difficult to say that for sure. However, it's possible Matt values family and stability, et cetera, right? How could I view if Matt is happy in marriage? If Matt is happy in his marriage, what other behaviors would I expect to see? Then what does Matt fear? Then after going through all that training exercise, I then said, you're a marketer with decades of experience, the top, remember? So this is all the tail, essentially. What typically motivates Matt to make a buying decision? Then I said, rank the 5 factors. So they're giving me 5 factors. And I said, just rank the top 2. So we've got the top 2 here. So yes, I can now come back to this chat and interact again with Matt. Now that isn't a function of ChatGPT. That is a function of this software that's remembering my previous conversations. But you can do crazy, crazy things. Now, one other thing that I wanted to give you as a tangible use case that you can do now is you can reverse the prompt, right? So you can take a body of text and you can say to ChatGPT, what would I have had to ask you in order for you to generate the following? And you put the text in. So if you're struggling, if you're trying to get something out of ChatGPT, and yeah, Mac GPT, you're completely right, Jada. If you can't get the right thing out, you can take somebody else's. So for example, I took Morgan Stanley's alternative investment guide and I said to ChatGPT, what would I have had to ask you in order for you to generate the following? And it gave me the prompt that I would have needed to use. I then said, great, thank you, because I found myself being quite polite with ChatGPT, which is weird in itself, but anyway. I then said, great, thank you. And it said, you're welcome. Anyway, sidebar. Now, and they said now, and then I pasted the prompt in. I said, please generate the following, aimed at XYZ audience. Right. So I've taken something that we can take as a trusted viewpoint from Morgan Stanley. Nice big text about alternative investments. Take that and then ask it to generate me the prompt. Then I use the prompt to generate something else. So that's your second use case. So the first one that you need to remember is top and tail. Okay. The second one that I want you to remember is reverse prompting. Then the third one, which I'll just quickly demonstrate as well, is if we're using this now, let's see where it is. This is a good example. So, and I also want you to note, by the way, the spelling mistakes in here, if you can see it. So I've deliberately kept them in just to prove to you that you don't need to get it right. It will understand it. It'll work its way through it. So you are a marketing manager with decades of experience in online marketing. What are the most important activities and deliverables that need to be produced? Please leave me a response to 10 items and provide the output in a table format. Okay. Here's the top 10 items. Says these are not exhaustive. Great. Add a column indicating the priority of each deliverable. Also add a column with the expected man hours, min and max that I should allocate to someone to complete the task. Okay. Here we are. And we have a table with the priority and the expected man hours. Reduce those things. What are the expected deliverables I should expect from market research? I expect from market research. So what are the expected deliverables for this one? And then it gives me a list of deliverables that I need. Now, this is every time I use this, I find myself blown away because it hasn't yet failed at anything I've thrown at it. So Jasmine, this one was just using ChatGPT to generate a plan for you. So you could say, I'm going on holiday to a hot country. What 20 things should I pack? What 5 things should I do before I leave? Now, you're going to get an answer that if you say you're a travel agent with decades of experience, or you're a safari guide like Jodie Cole, I don't know if Jodie's here, but she's awesome. You could say you're a travel expert and a safari leader and have decades of experience. What should I pack? For Zambia, for the Tony Robbins people, Rwanda, for the YBL people. Right? So whatever it might be, you can go in there and say, I'm doing this, and you can create those personas to support you. And you can ask it and you can keep digging deeper. Now, I'll give you a caveat for everybody. A caveat is I'd like you to think of ChatGPT as a junior executive, not a senior executive. And it's not going to be 100% right, but it is going to be 90% right. And it is going to take 5 seconds to do it. So whether it's generating text, whether it's generating video scripts, whether it's giving you plans, I used it, for example, when I came home. One of my challenges, because I'm traveling a lot, is reintegrating with my family when I come home. And I literally said, you're a family counselor with decades of experience helping families of international travelers bond when they return into each other. What should I be aware of on my trip home in order to make it as successful as possible? And aside from the advice from my amazing coach, Kari, who I think just dropped on, so hi, Kari. I took that. It was a very specific list. And one of the things it told me was don't expect them to meet me on my energy level. I need to adapt into their energy level. Just something I consistently on. I walk in the door, hey, how you doing? And then wonder why it's not reciprocated. It's like, no, judge in, slip back into the slipstream is almost what it's saying. So you can use this as a junior exec in any single area. And I mean any single area. I've heard people say, yeah, but it can't give medical advice. So somebody set ChatGPT the task of doing the medical, the GP exam of Washington State, I think it was, and it passed. I heard someone else say, yeah, but it can't give you legal advice. So somebody said it the bar exam and it passed. Right? So we're talking about something that can equal the knowledge and expertise level of both the medical industry and the legal industry. So if somebody tells you it can't do X, Y, Z, I would tell you they probably just haven't put enough time into working out how to do it. So that's some use cases we've got for ChatGPT. Now, there are other tools that generate content as well. Lisa Lieberman-Wang does a great content segment on this and how we can use it for marketing, including, for example, Copy AI, Jasper. There's some really good tools. If you put in AI copywriting tools, you'll find there's a fair few. My preference is ChatGPT. Because I'm used to just working in a more raw format, because that's what I've done for a very long time. But Jasper AI, you can say, here's 50 words, write me a blog article, or write me an email. You're all going to get an email after this webinar. You're going to get 5 emails actually, unless you hit spam or unsubscribe, which is really, really not very friendly of you after I've just told you you're going to get 5. Anyway, all 5 of those were written by ChatGPT. I didn't write any of them. Not one. I didn't even correct 3, 4, and 5. I did some slight tweaks on 1. I did a few on number 2, but 3, 4, and 5 went as is. The time that it takes to do these things is shortened from weeks when you have back and forth and interaction with other people to minutes, weeks to minutes, like really that quickly. So that's number 1, right? Then we have, so that's text-based. Then we have Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, which are image generators. Now, I haven't found many kind of as huge revolutionary moments in this. I think some people have, because I'm using ChatGPT like it's literally a board of advisors next to me, around me, as well as a content writer. I asked it the other day how to prioritize an email list. What are 5 ways I could use to prioritize an email list? I've asked it for tips on international travel and avoiding jet lag. I've asked it for how I keep not drinking water. How do I drink more water? That's another one. Literally, I've asked it anything I can think of, and I'm getting back this really detailed answer. Imagery, I haven't found the same. However, I have seen people use it for logos. I have seen people use it for before and after images. I think I saw Petra here earlier on. If you are still here, say hi. Let me just find out. I'm just scrolling through all the names. And if she is or isn't, she still deserves a. Yeah, there you are. Hey, Petra, thank you. Petra generated an entire book based on staging of housing. So it was an image that never existed as a base image, right? And then she told it to overlay different context for showing a house. It's absolutely phenomenal. So when you are dealing in a more visual industry, you can use something like Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, some of these other technologies in order to generate the images. I've also seen it used recently. I'm not sure about the ethics of this. I'll let you all decide that. I've seen people do before and after images with it as well. So specifically, this wasn't anybody I know, but it was an online example. Somebody had used it for diet images. So before and after images for like personal trainers, fitness, etc. So there's use cases there as well. Again, as I said, I'll leave the ethics up to you, but you can literally generate any image you could think of, whether it's kind of more cartoony or more photo-like. You can get an image production now as well. So that's number 1 and 2. Let's talk about number 3 quickly. And then I want to talk to you about a framework in which you can implement this stuff. So the third one I love is video. So most of you may have seen my video this morning. Hey, today's the day. Hope to see you soon. I use a video software for that called Descript. That's Descript. And Descript allows you to generate a video, but then you can train it on your voice, and you can go back into the video and edit the word that you said. So one of my picks, for want of a better word, is I use I instead of we. Now, we all know in videos, especially we are so excited, but I am so excited. So if you watch that video back after we do this, you'll hear it say we, and we. I never said those words. I used I, and I. And after the video has been transcribed via AI, I right-click on the word I, and I'd hit the overdub button and type in we, and it generates my voice, right? So it generates me saying we instead of me saying I. I can't begin, for any of you that do video on a regular basis, you will have done, take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5, take 6, shit. And then by the time you get to take 6, you just use take 1 anyway, because it was the best one, because it had the best energy, right? You can now go into take 1 and edit the words that you didn't say and tell it words that you did say. What if you nail it every time? What, like you, Jay? Yeah, you can prime perform me with that later on. So you can use Descript. You can just record the video first time. Hey, everyone, I'm so glad to see you here. And you look at it and you go, okay, I just want to change that to we. And then I deleted it, certain paragraphs. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't want to say that. That's not quite right. And then it said, hey, I found this true. I found 15 filler words where I'd gone, as much as I try and get rid of them, Todd Hartley, I apologize, I'm still getting there. Much as I try and get rid of them, some of them are still there. And Descript just said, yeah, sure, I'll just remove them for you. And this video took 8 minutes, including filming. 8 minutes, including filming, for me to go from, okay, I want to tell everybody, right, what do I want to do? I want to get a last lot of numbers into the webinar. I want to infuse people with energy before they come in. Let's go. What happened halfway through? My heater fan turned on, because I'm in the UK at the moment. It's really cold, which AI hasn't fixed yet, and I'm sure it will. And Descript detected it and corrected it and removed it. Descript detected the noise halfway through, just a like, and I really subtle, but it was there, and removed it. And what did that mean? It meant I didn't have to do it again. I didn't have to do my video again. Now, Descript is not the only one. Like D-ID, D-ID, will actually animate a photo of you. So you can give it a transcript. So you can literally just type the text. You can upload your voice. You can give it a picture and it will move your mouth for you. It's utterly wild. And then the last one, when we're crossing over into the world of audio, is a system called 11 Labs. Right? And 11 Labs is actually a more accurate voice reading of you than Descript is. But so with 11 Labs, you can literally just load in your voice, and it will do the whole thing from beginning to end. I am going to show you, if I can find it quickly, one video. I'll keep talking whilst I look for it. One video that I did the other day. I'll see if I can find it at the end once we've had a bit more time together. There was literally, I didn't say a single word of this. So it's a 60-second audiogram. And I never said a single word in this 60 seconds. Like I never uttered a word. No words came out of my mouth. I typed the transcript and it produced the audiogram for me. That was in Descript. When you start chaining some of these ideas together, you start seeing what you can do. So let's give you an example. And again, you make the decision about ethics. And the reason I keep referring to ethics is that people are going to accelerate and use this in ways that we would wish they hadn't. The problem, or the question that then comes back to us, is, well, if those people are going to accelerate in that way, what am I going to do and how am I going to choose to react? And that's an individual choice. I'm not going to go into it for people, but I'm just giving you how you could use it. So you could take an article from Morgan Stanley in alternative investments. You could get ChatGPT to rewrite that for you. And you could then put that into a tool like Descript and get it to do the entire audio for you. Or you could put it into a tool like DID and actually have you speaking. Like right now, you all know that this is actually me. But in about a year, I'm willing to bet it could get pretty close to you not knowing it's me. I don't even know how to prove it's me to you, but it is me. Hi. But we're about a year, 6 months, a year away from the place where you could be doing an entire video and it isn't even you. Now, what then happens when you can automate that? And when I go back to those questions about value and scarcity, I noticed Phyllis was in the audience. Phyllis, by the way, is one of the best providers of VAs that I know of. And lots of people use VAs to produce social media content. Now, I'm not suggesting you should do this. I'm suggesting you should put these two things together. And let's have a look at this. Let's do generate a 30-day social media calendar for the Believe Ranch and Rescue, a charity that saves horses from unnecessary slaughter. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, I honestly, every time I do this, I have to stop and go, holy crap. So let's have a look. Introduce the charity and its mission. Share a video of horses at the ranch. Post an inspiring quote about the value of animal life. Share a post about the volunteers and staff. Share a behind-the-scenes look at the ranch. Share a post about the impact of the horse slaughter on the environment. Post a picture of photos recently saved. Okay, so let's just take this one. Okay. Now let's take it and say, write me a 30-second script for, I'm not even going to paste it back in. Why am I doing that? For the item mentioned above in point 7. Welcome to Believe Ranch and Rescue, where horses find their forever homes. Our horses have been rescued from unnecessary slaughter and rehabilitated with love and care. With our adoption program, I didn't even tell them you can adopt a horse. With our adoption program, you can give a horse a second chance of life. Adopting not only saves a horse's life, but also supports our mission to rescue more horses. Join us in our effort to make a difference. Visit us today and see how you can make a difference in a horse's life. So we can generate a 30-day social media calendar. We could have done 90 days, 120 days, 180 days. And Jasmine, I know I just can't actually get it to share the actual window. I'm sorry about that, which is why I'm reading it. And we could get it to generate the scripts. We could take the scripts and put it into Descript and we could get somebody else to read it. Do you guys want to see what that looks like if I do that? Do you want to see what it looks like if it gets read in my voice? And every time I do this, I'm like, hang on a second. In the world of tech, everybody knows you should never do anything without prepping it first, and which I haven't done. So, hey, let's see what happens. All right. So this is the audio model that I gave it. It isn't fully trained. Right? So this was done very, very quickly. Actually, let's use one of the stock voices for the moment. That's probably going to be slightly. Ethan, share sound, share. Okay. All right, so it's just going to warm up and get used to that.
Welcome to Believe Ranch and Rescue, where horses find their forever homes. Our horses have been rescued from unnecessary slaughter and rehabilitated with love and care. With our adoption program, you can give a horse a second chance at life. Adopting not only saves a horse's life, but also supports our mission to rescue more horses. Join us in our efforts to make a difference. Visit us today and see how you can make a difference in a horse's life.
Okay. I mean, that was pretty good from scratch, right? Now let's see if we can get it slightly better. So I think I mentioned to you that 11 Labs tends to do a slightly better job. So let's have a look at that. So 11 Labs, it doesn't have the video element, but the audio is really top audio, top quality. So in the trial version, it won't let me do as many characters, but let's have a look. What 11 Labs should do is it should add more inflection and more humanity to the voice. Let's see.
Welcome to Believe Ranch and Rescue, where horses find their forever homes. Our horses have been rescued from unnecessary slaughter and rehabilitated with love and care. With our adoption program, you can give a horse a second chance at life. Adopting not only saves a horse's life, but also supports our mission.
All right, so we're getting better. So as we go through, no, I'm not going to do it with my voice. So as you go through and you start programming these things through, they become more and more human. Right? So it's that ability to do these things at scale where we can now, I showed you a 30-day social media post, but there is some scarcity in my thinking there, isn't there? Why didn't I ask it for 3 a day? Why didn't I ask it for 10 a day? Why didn't I ask for 20 a day? The reason that we do a 30-day social media calendar is because we have the capability to execute 30 pieces of social media content. We can do as many as we like now. We can do different versions to different platforms, different audiences. There's no end to that equation. So we have gone through some text work. We've gone through some video work. We've gone through some audio work. I think everybody is sufficiently blown away, except I want to show you one last see if I can find it quickly. And again, I haven't prepared this because that's not how I roll. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. That will do me. Some people like to go in the snow, but this is not than that. So grab your bathrobe and meet the light of the it's hot outside. That's a project that's coming out in the next 6 months that allows you to generate music in the style of any artist. So that's by the same company, OpenAI, that did ChatGPT. It's called Jukebox. They think are about 6 months away from being undetectable to the human ear as to whether it was generated. So that was literally, you feed into that system, generate me a Christmas song about hot tubs in the style of Frank Sinatra. That's it. That's all you do. And it's going to generate music for you. Yes. So we have the ability to generate text as we need it. We have the ability to call upon boards of advisors to help us with any piece of content we need. We have tools like Descript, DID, and 11 Labs that allows us to produce more than just the text version of ourselves. And I wanted to answer somebody up here. I can't remember who it was. I'll just find out. Karen Maloof. Karen, people still prefer the personal touch. I personally agree with you. And there is a system called Vocodia, Vocodia. Vocodia is a AI sales agent. So it sounds like a human. It has to listen to, so this is the bad, it has to listen to 10,000 hours of call center content from a minimum of 50 different agents. However, once it has listened to 10,000 hours of content from 50 different agents, within a week, it has a higher close rate than the call center. Now, I'm not personally very fond of this technology because it's going to start an arms race, which personally I believe will be used by the less morally inclined people before the morally inclined people do it. Because when I present this to morally inclined people, they go, yeah, but what about the quality? What about the human interaction? All those wonderful things, which I agree with. But when I presented this to less morally inclined people, they go, yeah, let's go. That's it. Yeah, let's go. That's all they say. Yeah, let's go. You're telling me that this thing can listen to my call center, my previous recordings from the last 2 months, and it will beat my call center? And the answer is yes. And we were offered the opportunity to invest in it, and I said, hell no, because I think the world is a worse place for it personally. But that's the kind of thing we're talking about. Anything that you say, not you personally, Karen, but anything you say can't be done, I'm here to tell you it will be done. Right? As we said at the beginning, I remember when people met 3D printing, they said, yeah, but you'll never do anything useful with it. They now print an entire village for up to 10,000 people, I guess that's more a town, in 3 days. 3 days. You can print a village in 3 days. So let's go back to that value scarcity question. What value is your house? If you can print the bricks, what value is your house? Why can't I go and look around someone's house and go, I love this house, and then take some pictures of my iPhone and then get someone to 3D print the house for me? Now, the land itself, the land is still scarce. So the land is worth something and location is still worth something. I'm not trying to claim that AI and automation is going to take over everything. I just want everybody to just stop and go, hang on a second. If I ignore this tech revolution, then I get left behind. Because it really is that. I saw Ken Saulnier, one of the most beautiful individuals in the world, on this earlier, and I hope you're still here, Ken. Ken taught me a phrase that I've used regularly, which is humans can't hover. We're not hummingbirds and we're not helicopters. We can never be in stasis. We are either growing or we're shrinking. Now, as an addendum to that, we often think we're competing in a bubble with ourselves, and we're not. So if you don't take this technology on, if you're not starting to go, how do I do lead gen? How do I do AI-based follow-up sequences? How do I use this to answer customer service inquiries? How do I use this to take in previous complaints to work out where I need to automate my systems? How do I not do this to evaluate HR? Oh, by the way, the guy from ZipRecruiter reckons that 85% of all CVs are read by computers before they're read by people. Right? If you're not doing those things, I promise you your competition is. I promise you they are. But I promise you they're about to start. And if you go way back to the beginning of this conversation, I said that we're at V1. This is V1 of this technology. I have never, as a technologist, I have never seen something come out of the gate at this level of impact. This is absolutely crazy. So where we go from here, if you don't get on board now, you will never catch up because this is accelerating. This is getting faster by the day. So if you don't start putting 10, 20 minutes, just 10, 20 minutes, everybody, 10, 20 minutes, put 20 minutes in every day, just so you start understanding and you have your aha moment. So you go, holy crap, I can use it to do X, Y, Z. I can't tell you what your aha moment will be, but I can tell you you'll certainly have one. Okay. I'm running way over. I've got 5 minutes left and I want to tell you 2 more things. And then I want to have some questions and then I want to tell you about the mastermind and we can talk there. So we've done some use cases. How do you implement this? So there's a tool that I used. I brought it into the mastermind last night, but I'll give you guys a quick overview of it here. What you do, get a piece of paper, you write down your avatar, right? So one of your core stakeholders. So for most people, that's normally a customer, but it could be a C-suite executive, it could be a shareholder, it could be a person that works for you. Most people, it's normally a customer. There's the stakeholder they normally think of. And then think of the 3 things that you have to do to satisfy your promises to that customer. So for example, as a venture capitalist, my investors, they require de-risk. They want me to de-risk their investments, number 1. Number 2, they want a return. And number 3, they want transparency of communication. That really is the 3 things. So write those 3 things down. So now you've got, who is the avatar that I'm aiming this sheet at? You can do the sheet multiple times, but who am I aiming it at? Next thing, say, what are the core deliverables I have to give in order to satisfy my relationship with that stakeholder? And then write down what you do to do those things. So for example, let's take transparency of communication. I have to write emails to them. I have to do videos to them. And sometimes I do audio updates on Telegram. PS, most of that I do through Ingrid, who I think I saw here. Ingrid, you rock. Thanks very much. All right. So those are the things we have to do on a regular basis. Then score them on how important they are and how long they take you to do. So now what you should have, once you do this for say half an hour, you should have a list of these are the things my company has to do and does to satisfy my core promises to my number 1 avatar, right? So these are the things we do to satisfy these core promises to this avatar. Once you then rank them in terms of how long they take you to do and how important they are, you've now got your hit list, right? You've now got where you should be thinking about where are you going to use AI. I hope that makes sense. So for example, Ingrid asked me for a video the other day, an update for our clients, our investors on a certain thing. And she had it back within 3-4 minutes. And she had it in 3-4 minutes with the top, the tail, the third at the bottom, because I used Descript. Instead of having to refilm it and refilm it and refilm it, because I fumbled a word, put it in Descript, add the template, delete that word, overdub that word. Thanks very much. There you are, Ingrid. Is that what you want to say? That's perfect. Okay. And then we start looking at the seniority of the people who have to do it. Roberto, my business partner and our president, his time is so valuable. So anything I need from him, I'd rather just him hand me a 3-minute video, audio file, transcribe it in Descript, and then put that into ChatGPT because Roberto's from Argentina. So his English far better than my Spanish, but it's not 100%. So I can use that in there and put it in there. Right? So I can play with both tools. And instead of Roberto having to write a 1,000-word email for me, he can just say, hey, Peter, this is the 3 things I need you to try and to get across. Boom, boom, back out, done. So here's your avatar. Here are the core promises. Here are the things we do to satisfy those core promises. Rank those things and then look where AI can implement. The reason I'm asking you to do this, broadly speaking, when a new tech trend comes out, there are 3 different types of people. Person number 1 goes, this isn't relevant. This isn't going to do anything. It doesn't matter. And the guy that run Netflix, Blockbuster, famously said, why would I buy Netflix? People love coming to the video store. The president of IBM said, I don't see any more use than one PC in the world. Bill Gates said the internet is a dead duck. So some pretty big people get this stuff wrong. It's not just the people that don't understand it. The people that should understand it also get it wrong. So that's group one. Group one are people that go, nah, this isn't going to do anything. Good luck to you. That would be my opinion if you're in that list. And you're lost to me. I can't help you. I'm not going to try and persuade you when you've just seen the power. And I could just pull up example after example after example where I'm looking at it go, this is crazy. There must be some little guy sitting inside there doing this because this is outrageous. Okay, so that's group one. Group three are technologists, to be honest, people like myself that go, yeah, I get it, I want it, let's go. But then there's group two. Group two is the 90 percentile of people who are, this is so cool, this is so amazing, but I have no idea how to actually use it. And they're the people I want to help. They're the people that I invited onto this webinar. And I think there's quite a few of you here are like, holy crap, this is amazing. But then when you actually put the webinar down and you go and have dinner and you come back, you're like, well, what do I actually do with it? How do I actually get ROI? How do I get return on investment from this? We should call it ROAI. I'm going to invent a new phrase. I just did it. I'm inventing a new phrase. ROAI, return on artificial intelligence. Right? How do I actually get a return? Right? Because I've seen a return so quickly. I was in Vail last week with some beautiful family from YBL, and I wanted to do an ebook detailing 5 different AI ChatGPT use cases. Like I've been taking reverse prompting, topping and tailing. I did the ebook with ChatGPT. Right? I did it in ChatGPT. I started at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'd finished at 6:12. Don't ask me, I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning. By the way, it's basic jet lag. But anyway, I started at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was finished by about 6:20 in the morning. And I got ChatGPT to write the whole thing for me. And then I went and spent time with people that I loved and cared for. That's your ROI. Your ROI isn't the money cut down, which it does. It massively cuts down your investment. It's the extra time you get back to put into your life and into things that matter to you, your family, your friends, etc. So that's my framework. What's your avatar? What are the 3 key promises? The things at a very high level that you have to do to keep that relationship as great as it can be. And then what are the tactical deliverables that you have to do in order to satisfy those promises? Rank and score those tactical deliverables. As I said, in the mastermind, we have a worksheet and I can work you through it. Rank those deliverables. Then you know where to spend your time, energy, money, etc. inside your business. Okay. Last thing, and then we're going to do 5 to 10 minutes of questions. I'm not going to take the questions in the chat. So if you do have questions you want to ask, put them in the Q&A, please. And I'm just going to run through this as quick as I can. The future of AI. So way back, we used something called predictors, right? That was the first type of AI. Now, almost everybody here has used a predictor. If you haven't, you've certainly integrated with them or used them. You've been on the receiving end. If you ever clicked on a Facebook ad, if you ever paid for a Facebook ad, if you've clicked on a Google paid ad, or you've run a Google ad, you have used predictors. Right? This is why these tech behemoths are so powerful, because they have prediction engines that are being run by AI as to who's going to click what, who's going to see what. Now, predictors are famously narrow, right? You can't just give it a full set of stuff and ask it to do something, right? It can make narrow predictions based on narrow data sets. For example, will someone click on this ad? Right? It's a narrow prediction. You can't just feed it everything. The next thing we came up with, in the world of AI, are what are called generators. So generators are what we're now seeing with ChatGPT, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, Descript. All these things are generators. They generate stuff. The next thing, which is due out in about 3 months in a meaningful way, is called transformers. The people that have used these and seen these say that their aha moment for a transformer beat that of a generator, as in ChatGPT. To explain it broadly, imagine that you have, you open up a new CRM and you want to upload a bunch of data into your CRM, right? You want to put the whole load of records in there. If you wanted to do that, most people, normally what you'd have to do is download a CSV or an Excel file the sample document that it gives you, and then you have to line up your data into those columns, and then you upload it. I'm sure most people have been through a similar kind of thing. You want to put data into a system. It gives you your set of data. First one, predictors, predictors, generators, transformers. So you have to then match your data into the format to upload it. A transformer no longer needs that. All right, so a transformer, you could hand it a bunch of images, a bunch of business cards that you scanned in, an Excel, a CSV, and an audio file, and it will transform those into the format it needs. That sounds like a tiny, yeah, okay, whatever. But imagine that you want to run a comparison. I saw someone the other day did a comparison of the year-end figures of Lululemon and Gap using ChatGPT. Right? You can do that now, that works. But if you try and ask it to take this PDF from Lululemon and this Yahoo Finance article from Yahoo and compare them, ChatGPT won't be able to do that because it can't recognize that they're actually the same thing, just in different formats. So it's going to fail to do that. Whereas if you have a transformer, it can make sense of both inputs and go, okay, these are actually the same thing. And then you can use those in your generators. So transformers would allow you to take a legal case from India and a legal case from Spain, put them together, compare them. You would then be able to see the similarities in court transcripts from video to audio to text. So transformers are the next thing we're seeing. And when you start combining those transformers, generators, and predictors, you kind of got the closed loop. You've got everything you need. So those things are about 3 or 4 months away. I've also been researching forensic AI to be able to review financial figures. That they're already almost on their way out now. I've told you about Vocodia. That's on the way out. AI-based sales agents. There really isn't anything that you do where you touch a PC or a phone that isn't going to be AI generated soon. I was speaking with one of our mastermind members yesterday. He was like, yeah, but I want to be able to see my portfolio. So I know where I should invest money and where I should reallocate money. I'm like, why? He's like, what do you mean, why? I'm like, that's not going to happen. We're not going to do this. He was talking about holographic displays. I'm like, it's not going to happen. He's like, no, it's definitely going to happen. They've made such research. I'm like, it's not going to happen because there won't be a need for you to have the big display. You'll just talk to the AI and say, I'm concerned about this investment. Can you provide 3 alternative investments that will give me exposure in this area? That's just, again, just real quick. Do this for you. I know you've just all been to, or a lot of people have just been to Platt Finance. So let's do this. Please recommend 5 ETFs that would mirror Ray Dalio's all-weather fund. You ready? Ray Dalio's all-weather fund is thoughtfully designed to perform well in any economic climate. It includes a mix of assets such as stocks, bonds, commodities, and gold. While it's not possible to replicate exactly, here are 5 ETFs to consider to broadly capture the principles. iShares Core S&P 500, iShares 7-10-year Treasury Bond, iShares Gold Trust, iShares Community Select, iShares Tips Bond ETF. Okay, pretty good. What percentage allocation would you recommend? Percentage depends on my individual financial goals and risks. However, Okay. And for the other people in the room, I would like to add crypto to the holdings. Please revise the allocation to include 20% for Bitcoin. Yep. So we've gone for iShares 24%, iShares 30, 7-year Treasury 32, Gold Trust 6, etc. Just so you know, I ran that through the portfolio analyzer tool. and the portfolio analyzer. Ray Dalio did beat this. I'll give him that. He beat it by about 4 or 5% across about 10 years. So this is the kind of things we're talking about. When you can add into this transformers, so you can take that information, you can take an existing portfolio, take another portfolio, bring them all together, put them in here, and ask you to generate back next to your thing. It just becomes crazy powerful. I've tried this with multiple portfolios, multiple different people, by the way. And it does a pretty good job every time. So that's the future of AI as I see it. So let's do some questions quickly. And I know I'm running over. I did tell you all at the beginning, I think, that I'm great at starting on time. I'm terrible at ending on time. So Jill Collins, is ChatGPT. Hey, Jill. Jill, thank you for joining the mastermind. I love you. Gina, I'm going to give you a link in a second. You rock. Jill, is ChatGPT only in English? No, you can, any language you like, and you can get it to compare languages as well. And you can get it to translate. You can give it a video script in Spanish and ask it to give it to you in English. I run some of the scripts through different people in our office in Costa Rica. And it's not like a Google Translate anymore, where it's obviously not done by a human. It is as good in every Latin-based language set that I know of. So I don't think it works in Chinese and Arabic yet. I haven't checked that. It's a good thing to check. But yeah, it seems to work in every language I've tried it. Michelle, web design development, what tools are you recommending? I still put things together the old-fashioned way and actually use HTML. You can actually get ChatGPT to generate you the HTML for a web page. The people are using this for code as well at the moment, which is pretty crazy. There are some AI web frameworks coming out, which I'll research and have a look. What do you think the monthly cost will be for each of these platforms when having full versions of each full access? So I've got a ChatGPT subscription, a Descript subscription, an 11 Labs subscription. I can tell you that they're all coming in at under $100 a month. I don't know the exact amount, but they're around $15 to $25 each. Most of them have a free version you can use to see what you think of it. BD, we use AI for organizing stuff like files. Is there a concern around confidentiality content? There are programs out there to do this, but I'm worried about getting content out. BD, that is a great question. Midjourney is famous for this. When you generate an image, you don't own the rights to the image. And a comic book artist just lost her trademark, her copyright. Actually, didn't lose it. She had it separated from the images and the text. So she still has the copyright for the images, but not the text, but not the images. So yes, I would be concerned about confidentiality, because if you feed something into the model, it is going to be there. There's been some cases recently of people's medical records coming out. So that's something that is definitely something to watch out for. Does ChatGPT write original content or AI own copyright? So it does write content for sure. It's not just pulling stuff out. The copyright is a thorny subject at the moment. So as I just said, in the case of Midjourney, which is the images, a comic book artist lost her copyright for the images that she'd used from Midjourney, but retained her copyright for the text she'd written. So I would say that it's looking at the moment that the current trend, personally, I really don't agree with, but the current trend is if it's generated by AI, there isn't copyright that's there. Personally, I don't agree, because if I use Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop to make an image, what difference does it make if I use Midjourney to make the image? My daughter, I gave her Midjourney and she wanted a unicorn swimming in a green sea with goldfish going around in a halo. And it produced it in like 5 seconds. It was crazy. When she did it, she didn't say, look what the computer did. Right? Her language was, look what I made. And I use my kids as a kind of litmus test on a regular basis, because the linguistics tell you everything. She said, look what I made. Now, what difference does it make if she used Midjourney or Stable Diffusion or DALL-E or Photoshop, or whether she used a pen and paper? There's still a tool. And when I started my web development career, so in the early 90s, I remember running into a designer that said, I can't believe this Photoshop Illustrator stuff. This is going to make me redundant. Literally, that's what he said, because what he was used to was drawing stuff in and then scanning it. And so for him to make an illustration, this was when we did a a thing for Lloyd's Bank, and it had to have lots of characters. He drew them by hand and then scanned them in. And when Illustrator came out after Coral Draw, really showing my age now for everybody, his reaction was, I can't believe this. This is going to ruin me. But just during the course of that project, he went from, I can't believe this is going to ruin me, to, oh my God, this is amazing. So what is the difference from Midjourney? I personally don't see it. I'm not a lawyer, not an attorney. This is not legal advice. But at the end of the day, a tool is making a thing under your direction. Now, when the AI directs itself, aka Skynet, and then we'll be really worried, then I can understand that you don't own it. But for the moment, we do. So the copyright is still open, up for grabs. There isn't that. So, Alison, my understanding is that AI is only around up to 2021. Can new content from web be added to your AI output? Yeah, you can add to it. I think Lisa pointed this earlier. There's a plugin called Chrome GPT, which you can, through Google Chrome, you can get it to look at a current website, a current piece of text. You can also add content into it, but you're absolutely right. The language model, the massive language model, the MLM that it was programmed on, was cut off in 2021 because they had to actually give it. You can't keep adding to it as you do it. What is a good question to ask ourselves? So thank you, Alison. Alexi, good to see you, brother. What is a good question to ask ourselves to best prepare for the future of AI? Exactly as I said. Who is my stakeholder? What are the 3 things I have to do to fulfill my promise to them? What do I do? And go that way, right? Because what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years, I have no idea. But what's happening now is the people that harness this are going to be able to use it. And then last question I'm going to answer is, in your opinion, hey, Anna, I don't think we met. If we have, I love you anyway. In your opinion, how do you think creative minds will shine after AI? Wow, this is such a good question. The only model I have to really refer to, and it's one that's kind of keeping me awake at night, is IKEA. It might sound a bit like a silly idea, but people still buy IKEA furniture. There's IKEA furniture all over the shop. This desk back here is a bamboo desk from IKEA. But the sofa to my left is a leather antique armchair. Now, I still value both, and I value them differently. You know, if I was walking into a rental house that I had to rent and rent out to other people, I'd probably spend more money on IKEA than I would on handmade furniture. But in my house, I want handmade furniture. I want something that's been loved and created and crafted and put together. I think that's where we'll see creativity. And there are always, in every tech revolution, and this is probably something worth writing down if you've still got muscles in your hand, in every tech revolution, it's the middle that gets royally screwed. Right? The bottom and the top survive. I'll explain why. The top survives because it adds so much value, adds such profit margin that it will always be able to make money. Right? Let's think of a good one. Tony Robbins, right? The pinnacle, right? And everybody says, you can still watch his stuff on YouTube. Yeah, you can. You absolutely can, but it's nothing compared to what YouTube does. We all know it. So Tony will always be in that pantheon that will always work. Now let's go to the lowest point. The lowest point, let's take YouTube, will still work because its model, its premise to you is I'm cheap, I'm quick, I'm free, I'm easy, I'm reliable, I'm always on. Right? This is why Walmart is fine. Now, Walmart's doing great business. Bloomingdale's, fine. Bed Bath & Beyond, screwed. Right? Always, as businesses mature, as markets move, the middle is where the problems always have. The top survive, the bottom survive, and the middle get outplaced by automation and technology. It's always been this way. So I think creative minds will have the same issue, or the same problem, or the same challenge, or the same opportunity, however you want to see it, which is if you are at the top of your game, you'll still get work no matter what. If you're I can do it for $5, don't worry, you'll still get business no matter what. If you're that middle tier, I would be concerned and I would move yourself to one or the other, right? And if I was you, I'd move to the top, right? Because the way down is always just going to, you're just going to get beaten on price every day. So that would be my answer to where I think creative minds will go. And we'll see new forms of creativity. But I think what we have here really is a 5-year window for everybody on this call to make an absolute ton of money, like an absolute ton of money, and do a ton of service and help a whole set of people. But then after that 5 years, I do get concerned. I don't know where we'll go, because this is the first technology, and I don't want to leave this on a fear note, but I do want to say it. This is the first technology that I know of. Actually, the last one probably is the Industrial Revolution. This is one of the first technologies. Everyone else, every other technology, the phone, the water bottle, the monitor, the microphone, the desk, was all about, its basic premise was, how do I help me, you, do things cheaper, quicker, faster, better? Right? How do I help do things cheaper, quicker, faster, better? The iPhone, the monitor, the speakers, how do I help you do it better? This technology, and the reason I said the Industrial Revolution, I hadn't thought about that before, and it's the looms for textiles, was, how can we do it instead of you? Right? AI's true premise is, how can we do it instead of you? And honestly, that scares the shit out of me. But we are not there yet. We are 3 to 5 years away from that. Where we're at in the next 3 to 5 years is the people here that get it accelerate so far and so quick and so beyond other people that they just leave them behind. So that's our window of opportunities the next 3 to 5 years to go, let's go. Let's go hard. Let's go deep. Let's get hold of this technology and let's see where we can use it. So that's not a fear message, because 3 to 5 years away, let's not worry about it. Right. And just as automations and drones and self-driving cars all hit at the same time. But we have a 3 to 5 year model. Who's the best medical dental marketing world to drive traffic practice? I start from scratch. Sorry, absolutely no idea. But you can ask ChatGPT. Right. Or you can ask it for a framework to evaluate. What is a framework to evaluate marketing agencies, etc.? So, mastermind time. Thank you very much. And then I'll let you all go back. All you have to do is, I'll put it in the chat for you. You go to this link here, boom. And because I love you all so much, it's $79 a month, which literally is just going to cover the cost of me getting VAs whilst I still need them before AI comes in. This is not being done for profit. This is being done just to cover it and make it work. But because I love you, because you're amazing, and I'm assuming you're all Pats, but anyone that kind of snuck in that isn't, I've given you a discount code for the first month. So Platt Family, hence name, will take $50 off for the first month. So it's like $29 the first month. Come along, see if you like it, see if we can add value. We're doing 2 calls a month at the moment, and we're adding in a community so that you can ask questions of me and of others, so that we can brainstorm on various different people. And then every couple of weeks, I'm going to add tools, add videos that you can watch. When I get a breakthrough, I'm going to share it with you straight away. Like, whoa, see what we just did. We'll give you like some tutorials on Descript, but it's not more about the tactical. Where I want to help you is the strategy and the thinking of this, because the tactics, you just need to get hold of it yourself. So if you want to accelerate with me, if you want to explore this, if you want to apply it to your business, please join me. If you're skeptical, it's totally cool. I love you. And I'll do another free call in a couple of weeks and we'll tell you some cool stuff as well. But if you want to accelerate, use the code. The link's in there. Use the code and get $50 off the first month. So it's like $29. Literally is actually nothing. And come and see me and let's play together and let's make this together and let's go for it, because it's so exciting. Every time I pick something up here, I'm just blown away with the power of it. So top and tail. I'm going to top and tail this. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Thank you for listening. I think 112 people joined in the end, and there's 101 left. So literally almost all of you stayed here, which is amazing in itself. I'm super excited by this. I would also like to thank quickly Doug Allen, who put together the AI Mastermind group, who gave me some of the ideas that came in here, not the content itself, that's all mine, but just the impetus to get this done for you. Thank you, Tony. And I guess always, thank you for my wife for being mad enough to tolerate me, look after me. I love you all. I hope that helped. hope that opened your mind. I would love to see you on the mastermind so that we can do this more often and really help each and every one of you apply this to your business and accelerate. So with that in mind, thank you very, very much. I'm going to share that wonderful kick-ass graphic again and play some music and hopefully see you all on the other side. Thank you. Bye-bye.